You're listening to Mira Business FM.
It's the Morning Drive. I'm Tim Elliott. Thank you, Inzi. He's back in just under half an hour's time. And it's pets next on the Morning Drive here at Mira. And Chaaya is with me. He's a Lebanese entrepreneur. He's born and raised in Dubai, turned his lifelong love for animals into a homegrown startup that's now changing the way pet care works across the UAE. It says here he is the founder of PetBae. Isn't that exactly what you do?
That is absolutely correct. Thank you so much.
Joey, look, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you for coming in. This is, and I'm going to quote you here, the region's first home-based pet care platform designed to make care more personal, stress-free and accessible, especially for pet parents. That is actually a thing, isn't it, these days as well, who don't want to rely on traditional kennels or catteries. So let's start with you before we get to what you're doing. You've always been an animal lover, I guess. You have that face, Joey.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I always grew up around animals, family pets. I've had a couple of dogs and a few cats growing up, and it's just been quite amazing to just be surrounded by them. They bring a lot of life, a lot of joy into your day-to-day. I think something to look forward to as well when you come back home from, let's just say, school, if you're a kid, and if you're even as an adult, it could be a very important stress reliever to even get that love from a different point of view. Man's best friend, for example. Brings a lot to the table, and that's basically where the passion came from.
I was going to say that actually because it comes from young. I grew up. My mother was I think the original crazy cat lady. So there are pictures of me on the bed in my literally just born with the cat wandering around me. So I'm very used to it. So I get where you're coming from. Talk me through the idea for PetBae.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, PetBae was started because of my own experience with my dog. His name is Renzo. Back in the day, and he suffered from anxiety. And so ultimately, I had to go with the options that were available then, which was facilities, various different facilities. And I just saw him sort of change his personality a little bit in the beginning, which, wasn't really a good thing. Ultimately,
It's upsetting, isn't it?
It's upsetting.
For him and for you.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And, it was a borderline depression, right? So, why would you want to put your pet through that? So the second time I tried this, I just spoke to my neighbor. I asked him, hey, can you look after my dog for a little bit, and I'll pay you whatever amount. And he accepted a price that was a fraction of the cost that I was paying. So it really just made sense, and he remained in a home environment, which was the key business basically offering that we're doing today.
Yeah, so Renzo, your dog, doesn't go through the stress of leaving. And I think we need to make a point here as well, that for people who aren't pet owners, to explain the whole kind of process and the feeling of it, if you see somebody you love or something you love or an animal you love going through a tough time, that really affects you, and that's really at the heart of this. And if you can be at home in a familiar environment, the stress levels are far lower.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, in general, there's a big group of pets that actually require our services, right? Or at least acquire our style of home-based pet sitting.
Right.
For example, older pets that lack mobility. All pets will eventually, become a little older and will lack a little bit mobility.
And need some more looking after.
Yeah, need some more attention. Cats are very territorial creatures. They prefer to be in their home environment. There are other things, pets with disabilities or, pets that suffer from anxiety prefer to stay in a home environment, something that they're used to, that they're more familiar with. So that we just wanted to bridge that. But obviously now we've opened it up to all pet parents because when we did a bit of the market research, we realized that they would prefer a home-based option because that's what they're used to. Ultimately.
Okay. So you're a tech platform, aren't you? And you basically connect people who are looking for somebody to look after their pets in a home, in their home, with people who will help them out. That's kind of what you do.
That's exactly it. And so we vet. There are two sides to this. There are two sets of users, you can say. One set of users are the pet sitter, and the other one is the pet owner. Pet sitters apply, and we vet them through a very rigorous 5-step process. But once they're approved, their profiles will be listed along with their prices, pictures of themselves, images of their home, with a lot of information where, on the other side, where pet parents can visit these profiles and make a proper decision based on certain criteria. And what's cool about PetBae is that you get a lot of choice in the matter. You get to speak to them, you get to meet them prior to actually making any kind of engagement, or booking. So yeah, and we understand that because ultimately there is a fine line between tech and sort of what you need to do at a manual point. What I mean is that when you're ordering an Uber, you don't really speak to anybody, right? However, in our case, ultimately it's important that we facilitate a meet and greet. So it's always going to be tech and a little bit of love, let's just say, from our side.
I like that. Tech and a little bit of love. That's what we all need in our lives. And we live in the tech age.
Absolutely.
Talk me through the process, how you called it a rigorous process, a five-step process. But I mean, that's important for a number of reasons. To make sure you get the right person, to make sure that the people that own the pet, I'm not sure if owning a pet's the right way, the pet parent, they're happy, but also to be sure that the pet is happy with the person who might potentially be helping them out, looking after them.
100%. That's why the meet and greet functionality is super important. And we have integrated a meet and greet functionality within our chat system. So basically, if a pet owner wants to request a meet and greet, it's literally a button that they need to press, and then it would trigger a push notification to the pet sitter, who would then accept or essentially reject the meet and greet. And then our system would literally offer them other options at that point in time. If there was a rejection and if there was an acceptance, then they meet, and our app can track that and then sort of trigger a booking link, for example.
Okay, and how do you, I mean, there is some vetting, that's probably the wrong verb to use, but we'll use it, of, potential pet sitters, but also potential pet parents. And I guess you have to vet the pets as well, because, if you're not used to looking after a Great Dane, you're used to hamsters, you need to be aware of that.
No, so the vetting process from our side, like I said, is rigorous, and vetting is the right word, for sure. So Emirates ID is required. They have to go through an application where they'll have to, again, add images, emergency contacts, references, go through an experience quiz, which they have to score high on. And sort of that's the vetting done for the pet sitter. Now, for the other side, there isn't much being done from our side. However, what we do is we tell the pet sitter to vet themselves. So that's why, like I said, dialogue and meet and greets are super important prior to engagement or actually confirming the booking. We make sure that we facilitate that, and almost 95% of all bookings actually go through a meet and greet or at least a phone call first.
Well, I mean, I guess if you apply to be a sitter for something like this, and I'm speculating here, but if you're the kind of person that does that, you're the kind of person that wants specifically to work with animals. That's a type, isn't it? And I guess that's the type that you are looking for.
Absolutely. There's that's definitely the type, and there are attributes like working from home, very important for us, I think, because in the end, like, it's not ideal to leave a pet unattended for more than 5 hours in our policy. So we do feel that it's important to just look at the full picture.
I mean, dogs need to be walked, cats need stimulation, they need play and chase and all that kind of thing. Okay, I get you. How do you make money out of this? How are the financial arrangements? How does it work?
So basically, pet sitters get to set their own rates. Right, we do have a minimum and a maximum, so we set the minimum and maximum. 50 is the minimum, for example, and 150 would be the maximum.
Right.
Pet sitters can choose their prices in between, and we actually make a 20% commission from every transaction that comes across our platform, and the commission usually is shared between the pet owner and the pet sitter.
Okay, well, I appreciate you being transparent about that. But I guess as well, if you do well at this, there's a rating system, there's a recommendation system, kind of a rate the driver, Uber type. Is that how it works?
Absolutely. We like to say that PetBae is like Airbnb for pets. It's in 3 words, right? This is how, and yes, absolutely. So vetting, again, just going back to that, not only do we vet, but ultimately the pet owners are vetting other pet sitters by reviewing them. So that pet owners, once they actually reach the pet sitter's profile, they'd be able to actually get that information from other pet owners.
Okay.
And feedback.
I'd like to touch on technology a little bit because
Yeah.
you're a tech firm,
Absolutely.
like really, aren't you? It's the age that we're in as well. Pet ownership is, I don't know, it is pet parenting really now. I've got to get the phraseology right. But we've got lots of tech for pets now, automatic feeding, automatic watering, you've got self-cleaning litter trays, all that kind of stuff. So in theory, anybody listening thinking, and they're not a pet person, they're thinking, well, you could kind of leave your pets head off the weekend or a week, wouldn't really be a big deal. We've got the tech that can handle that. I'm not advocating that, but I can understand that kind of thinking. But it strikes me that this kind of very personalized service is a business for humans as much as it is for animals.
Correct, yeah.
So when you set up, you've kind of got a nice happy medium there, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of the time, or I could say prior to PetBae, people had to struggle, go through community chats, maybe Facebook groups, and send out a Hail Mary and try to hopefully get something in return, and they still have to interview the person. What's interesting here is that we're actually doing all of that via tech prior to the pet owner even speaking to anybody, so that we know for sure there's going to be good dialogue. Look, the world of tech, automatic feeders are there. They're a good thing. They do help sometimes, but it's just not enough. In the end of the day, you're going to need, that human element, as you put it, whether it came from a pet sitter or the pet owner themselves, and cuddling and applying that care. In the end of the day, a lot of people consider them as their own kids, right? So when we combine that, when I was saying in the beginning, combining tech with love is literally what we are doing. So when I say tech, I mean, the process in how, let's say, a pet owner wants to book the same pet sitter next time, they'll only have to press one button because they've already met them, they've already had a booking with them in the past. So how do we make that easier, right? They're rushing on a work trip and they just need to make a quick booking. They just book again, So they'll open the app, book again, and that's it. It's super, super smooth from that point of view. And that's literally what we're doing every day, looking at how we optimize.
And I guess you've got people coming to you, members or people who engage with your system who are doing this. You could make yourself a reasonable living at this if you, took this on
Yeah,
with a
absolutely.
professional mindset. Is that happening? You starting to see that?
Yeah, absolutely. So part-time work has been, is allowed now here in the UAE. I can't remember the date of when it was actually where it started, but
It's recent, yeah.
yeah, it's quite recent. And I mean, although we say it is a part-time mechanism, people are making enough money to cover their expenses, and a lot more in some cases. What you can do, or what we can know for sure, is that if a pet sitter has a large space, for example, and is able to accept multiple pets, right, that are social with each other, then they can definitely make a really good income.
And some people, I suppose, have different exotic pets, not your standard cat, dog, hamster, rabbit, whatever it might be. You're going to have people that want you to look after their terrapins, I don't know, their tarantula collection. Are you seeing that? Is there anything slightly more exotic, I think is what I'm asking?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be open. I mean, so we only cater to cats and dogs at the moment. However, we
Okay.
don't say no to any animal that, or any pet parent that wants
Well, you're going to
to.
get inquiries, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. And we are opening it up to all the other categories. But yeah, we've received, birds, hamsters, rabbits,
Yeah.
Carnivorous birds, actually, one time where it's required some live feeding even. The pet sitter had to be briefed, but we eventually had to allocate a pet sitter that had enough experience to be able to do that. So it was, we don't, again, like, it's the world of animals, and being able to facilitate that no matter what animal it is, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I love it.
If someone came up to us with a lion or a tiger, I know that they don't exist here really in abundance. But if it ever happened, then we would also try our best to facilitate that.
Wow. Okay. Let me ask you a little bit about your business and the setup, really, because turning what you love into a business is something lots of people would like to do. Not that many people get the opportunity to do it or take the step, I suppose. Does doing what you like, or the things that you love, does that make it easier, or is there an emotional pull there? How do you handle it?
I think passion is what gets you started, and then purpose is really what
Because reality hits
keeps you
then,
going.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to, you're responsible for this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, I think look, the passion. It's not easy. I can tell you that for sure. Especially the transition from being an employee to being an employer. At that point, your responsibilities are much larger. Your the well-being of other people are in your hands. Essentially. So, being a business owner and an entrepreneur, you get to look at two sides of things. You have to run a successful business, but also make sure that you manage the team properly and make sure that they're happy.
How many people in your team, by the way?
At the moment, we have 7 going on 9 in about a month.
Okay.
Yeah, a small team. So we're still a startup,
But there
moving
are
lean.
there are difficulties in small teams. I always think small teams are it's critical that you get the right people, particularly in a small team, because one wrong person can really upset things.
Couldn't agree with you more there. Like in terms of difficulty, I guess there's two sides to it. So one is actually adopting the idea of starting a business and actually doing it. And really, the simplest answer here is just get it started. Like just
do
start
it.
somewhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you start. Just start. It's gonna be not optimized in the beginning, but you have that time to do that.
Right.
And then the second part is actually running the business itself, the challenges that come every day, but what we say is bring the problems, right? We need something to do. So that's really the sort of idea behind not only being an entrepreneur, just any business owner. If you're going to take the leap of faith, you might as well be ready and sort of embrace the problems that come your way.
I think for a lot of people that's an interesting point, but for a lot of people that's difficult because if you have the mindset or the mentality or the attitude, whatever it is, that you have this kind of, well, I don't see problems, I see opportunities. If you can truly mean that, then you're probably doing the right thing.
Sure. And, we always take feedback very, very seriously. Any feedback from pet owners, the app should do this. Why can't I, message the same pet sitter that I did last time? When we received that feedback, we immediately spoke to the developers. We're like, okay, let's get that in our backlog and in our product roadmap and implement it ASAP. So it's ever changing. We take the feedback very seriously. It's although difficult. Things get easier as you go and you get used to it, and then you just start to be the best at what you do. So
it's amazing what you can cope with. It's amazing what you can handle, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about how you license it, because you start the business and you get your license, and then you're running the business. But the bureaucracy is whatever anybody thinks. Bureaucracy is something you have to be able to handle, have to face.
Yeah.
How did you go about licensing this? This is a tech startup, really.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So we have a tech innovation license from Abu Dhabi Global Markets, and basically they had a very good deal on tech startup licenses to be able to do exactly what we're doing. At the time, they somewhat subsidized it to attract more entrepreneurs to do I guess what I'm doing. And so I'm licensed from there. It's a tech innovation license, meaning that I'm kind of acting as a broker or a middleman between two parties. So PetBae is a C2C platform connecting pet owners and pet sitters, which are two, individuals that need to meet and then transact on the platform for us to make money. We're licensed from ADGM. If you're looking at sort of other licenses, though, like grooming licenses, veterinary licenses, very, very different, because there you'd be actually handling the pet. Driving the pet from point A to point B if it's a pet taxi. In our case, we are just sort of facilitators, you can say, middlemen that would really improve on the process of actually making that connection.
What were they like when you said, look, this is my idea, here's my pitch? How was that received by ADGM?
I think the process in terms of actually onboarding with ADGM was very well received. I think that the UAE is really going into that general direction, right? So it was super well received. It was, to my surprise, I thought it might be a little bit, yes, sure, I had to explain everything, but as soon as I did and explained the business model, they were super accepting of that, and we got approved.
Well, I asked that for a reason. Just because, I'm guessing that, tech startups, it's fintech, and it's, we want to do this in crypto. We want to, we've got this great solution for whatever company, and
Yeah.
you're there going, well, look, what I want to do, I want to put this person to look after this dog here. I mean, it's something out of the ordinary.
It really is. It really is. It genuinely was an experience of mine. Like I lived it. So when you see something like that, and you actually see your pet. Let's say I came back from vacation, went to collect my pet from my neighbor's house.
Yeah.
The difference in emotion, sort of the difference in vibes that my dog sort of was giving me, versus when I saw him come out of a facility per se, a brick and mortar. Not saying that they're all like not doing things correctly. A lot of them are. It's just that we're providing the choice here, right, for the pet owners. That you can choose whether or not you would like to do that.
Well, it's not a one-size-fits-all
Yeah,
thing, is it?
exactly,
You know,
yeah.
it's and it's also a very emotive situation, I guess.
Yeah.
So you might love it, but you're building something from scratch. There are obviously challenges. You've probably had some sleepless nights, I suppose. You're thinking about money. You're trying to pay your staff. You're trying to make sure the tech is running. You know, you're updating everything. How have you found it so far? How do you feel about the where you are?
I feel amazing. It's overwhelming, but very rewarding. People call me sometimes saying that, like, crying they've not been able to travel until they found us. So, to see sort of that testimonial is amazing. It kind of keeps you going. But me personally, I just feel that every day that passes, I can see some progress, and we really have to celebrate those. And if there are issues, again, you just got to tackle them. When you do that, you're just gonna keep getting better and better at what you do. So it really does get easier, from that point of view. But it does get more difficult from like a fundraising point of view. When you're running low on cash, you got to be like,
Sure.
okay, I got to update the deck, update the numbers. Let's go into the market. Let's go knock on some doors. So it's very sales orientated in some points as well, which I'm okay with. That's what I did, prior to PetBae.
I was going to ask,
Yeah.
what did you do before?
Yeah, 15 years in sales basically,
sales,
I was working in FMCG. I was handling B2B across the UAE for my clients are usually hospitals, hotels, and I was selling tissues actually, tissues and disposables, very
Okay.
different. And then I started PetBae while I was doing that, and so doing both was actually super super tough to get used to. It took me about 6 months just to get used to the idea of doing that, and then
I bet, yeah.
eventually quit my job in 2022 and did this full time.
Well, good for you. So you're 3 years in then.
Yeah.
So how is funding going? Have you been
Good.
through seed funding?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Absolutely, yeah, sure. We had the founding members, me and my business partner, put the initial money, and then after that, we raised a family and friends round, and that was at the end of 2022. And we did one more sort of seed round after that, and now we're raising our Series A. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're well down the road. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I think this is the kind of the media thing, the slightly marketing thing as well. But you've been on Shark Tank.
Yeah, that was.
What was that like?
Oh man, it was surreal. I grew up watching Shark Tank.
Yeah.
I watched. All the judges, Kevin O'Leary. I used to, despite his emotions, but I loved watching
His quirks.
His quirks. Yeah, let's say. But yeah, I grew up watching it, so it was surreal. It was a bit intense, being in front of a panel worth 5 billion and having the studio lights in your face while trying to put everything you know about PetBae in 3 minutes. It's
Yeah.
not easy to do. I think that, especially as an entrepreneur, you're so close to your brand, so there's so much to say, but to fit all that information in just a short amount of time it was a bit of a challenge, but we made it through. We got an offer, and what Shark Tank did for us was amazing. It created a lot of credibility, not only for our brand, but for the concept of home-based pet sitting and having someone come to your house, because you really do have 5 services, and the services can actually be rendered in the pet owner's home or the pet sitter's home. So, the idea of a pet, owner allowing someone to their house might not be, or maybe it wasn't at the time as accepted as maybe some Western societies. But right now, it's because of Shark Tanking, because of what we're doing with our marketing and social media, it is actually creating so much credibility.
Okay, and you vet that as well. You could say to somebody, look, you if you're happy, your pet could go and live in the pet sitter's place?
Yeah, I mean,
didn't realise.
two different services. One is boarding, and the other one is sitting.
Right.
Sitting is where the pet sitter would go to the pet owner's home and stay overnight and look after the pet there. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be overnight. They can go in and leave. And then boarding is when pet owners would drop their pets at the pet sitter's home.
Last question. We've got about 20 seconds. Where are you going next? Can you tell me in 20 seconds?
Absolutely. All-in-one pet platform across the GCC and beyond. And explaining PetBae in one word is choice. I think that's where we're going. So we want to really make sure that we develop the tech to reach that goal.
All the best to you. More power to you, I think. Joey Chaaya is a Lebanese entrepreneur. He's born and raised here in the UAE, specifically in Dubai, and he's just turned his lifelong love for animals into a homegrown startup that is, and I quote, changing the way pet care works across the Emirates. PetBae is the app. Joey, good to meet you.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Appreciate you coming in. This is Mira Business FM. We're streaming live on the website, mirabusiness.fm. You can find us on YouTube. The news next.